This is Breakfast Daily, and we are looking at some topical issues in Ghana. My guest in the studio, Jeffrey Kabuto-Kansi, Executive Director, Revenue Mobilization Africa, and Paul Eric Ofori, Head of Research, COPEC. So now we are looking at the NPP polls on Saturday. Now, when you take the story in the Ghanaian Publisher, and it's also in other newspapers and online as well, it says that Bawumia in a big lead ahead of Saturday's polls. Now, it says, so it has a photograph of the three leading men in the polls. Kennedy Japan, Dr. Bawumia and Shematina. The story reads that latest poll conducted by Outcomes International Ghana and Center for Sustainable African Development Initiative, Citi, UK, has projected a win for Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia in the impending special delegates elections of the NPP with 72.6%. The special delegates-based survey saw Alan Chemating with 7.7%, Kennedy Japan third with 4.3%, Kwabena Japan fourth with 1.8%, and Dr. Owusu Akoto fifth with 0.6%, trailing Dr. Bawumia. The total sum of votes for the remaining five candidates is 1.3% and undecided 11.7%. Given the turn of campaigns of the various candidates in the NPP special delegates elections, Outcomes International Ghana and Center for Sustainable African Development Initiative, UK, jointly conducted a survey to determine which five candidates are likely to qualify for the November 4, 2023 NPP presidential primaries. Now, the study also looked into other socio-demographic factors that are likely to influence the outcome of the August 26 election. For example, how ethnicity, geography, and religion affect the chances of viable candidates, as well as the basis on which delegates assess the sustainability of a candidate. The survey was done in all 16 regions of the country using an estimated 300 NPP special delegates as the target population of the 961 voters in the Electoral College. The study used multi-stage probability proportional to size sampling, that's PPS, with implicit stratification to reduce the operational cost of the survey and better represent the country. The data was obtained mainly through computer-assisted telephone interviewing technology. Regional breakdown of the sample size. 11 special voters in Upper West were interviewed, in Upper East 17, in Northeast 15, the Northern was 19, 17 were interviewed in Savannah, Bono East 19, Bono 14, Ahafo 11, Ashanti 36, and Eastern 29. Greater Accra region had 29 people interviewed, Central 19, Western 19, Western North 15, OT 11, and Volta region 19. The breakdowns of the categories of respondents interviewed are as follows. Constituency chairpersons, 143, regional executive members, 103, members of parliament, 33, council of elders, 9, national council members, 8, card-bearing ministers, and past national officer, 1. So this is it. It looks like the survey conducted, Bawumia is in a comfortable lead. If you can borrow the words of the chairman of the NDC, General Mosquito, Bawumia is in a comfortable lead with 72.6%. Paul, this is where we are. Could it be the power of he being the vice president? And he is also not letting that slide at all. He says that I've done so much work for Ghana as a vice president, and this means that I will do more. Should I be the presidential candidate for the NPP?
Okay, first and foremost, I think we must make it clear that their findings is not the entire primaries.
Yeah.
This is just for the special delegates. And so it is quite not surprising because, I mean, he is the vice president and all others have, in one way or the other, also been part of the governance as far as the ruling party is concerned. And he also being the head of the economic management team, leading the agenda of, the economy. It's not surprising because most of these candidates have also come out to say that, by and large, there's been the issue of monetization. They've seen some of these aspirants, dish out monies to as it were, candidates, or if you like, constituency executives and whatnot. At the end of the day, we are looking at some 72 they are also looking at 5 people coming out of the 10 just to reduce the numbers.
Yeah.
And I think that it is not going to be a walk in the park for Bawumia when the election proper, the primaries proper starts before the end of the year. But we must understand that some of these things, some of these research are not, as it were, the real deal. It is just based on some 300 out of 900 expected participants or delegates. And he being the vice president, it is quite not surprising that the research, was tilted towards his win. I see some progress made by Kennedy. I see some progress made by Alan Martin. I also see the Agric Minister doing his bit. We also need to give it to him, though, because it looks like he even started first.
Yeah.
As far as campaigning is concerned, we saw his billboard way back, and to see him in the first 5 is refreshing. I'm really looking forward to that election to see who makes it to the top 5. And I think that Canada-Japan is #1 on the slot, and I believe followed by is it the Agric Minister or something?
Yeah, but
and
really,
and then the last person.
Alan's team says that they really don't care which number they are.
Oh, okay.
I mean, if you have a good message, it doesn't really matter.
They should care.
Why?
You see, when you have delegates, even in election in general, how many spot ballots do we have at the end of the day? Sometimes they are even more than what a candidate garners at the end of the day. And so yes, they must care where their position is as far as the ballot papers are concerned, and they must also campaign according to the number they have, just so a sample of it is shown to delegates, and then they don't miss out on the day of elections. Some of these strategies, I believe, they are putting in place in making sure that their candidate, emerges victorious, come the end of the month, and who knows.
Right, so I think that with a number, I think they were looking at those who believe in numerology, and doesn't matter if you're #1 or #10, doesn't really make any difference. But let me come to you, Jeff. So this is what the polls, conducted by the Outcomes International Ghana and Center for Sustainable Africa Development Initiative, UK, is projecting Bawumia seem to be in a comfortable lead. Should they be excited about this, or they should know that you can't really bang your hopes on this?
Well, it's a poll, and poll by research institutions. And so someone asks, why is Jeffrey coming to talk about politics? But I'll tell you what, all Ghanaians should be interested in the contest, especially when the elected from this race has a potential of governing Ghana. You can't be interested in development and not be interested in who governs to deliver the needed development.
Preach.
So those who always say, oh, your politics, let me tell you what, whether you like it or not, 2 major political parties in Ghana, you can add a third in your dreams. But reality has 2 statistical maps you can follow and easily go and sleep in your house and be a projector of who would win. But it will come for NDC or NPP. So you should be interested in who and how they are doing it, such that the reasons being that in governance, if you decide not to be concerned, and you allow, excuse me to say, fools to go ahead, you will be governed by fools, and you will regret it for the rest of your life. And that is why I'm interested now. These persons, need to be assessed and considered based on some certain requirements. If I go on qualification, at least the United Nations says everybody should have a basic education to start with, to be able to, at least, you should have a president who can read and write to start with. In our God blessing, all of them have secondary education, qualifies all of them. And it's a blessing for all of us. Moving forward, political participation, look at the role, the delivery, and the consistency of the individual. When you look at the top 3 that the research mentioned, I can accept that when it comes to their role in the political party, they've been very, very significant. When you look at delivery, they've all delivered in they can have challenges. You can have individual challenges about their performance. That will be said. And the consistency, they've all been consistent. The 3 of them. Alan started earlier. Dr. Bawumia was chosen along the line. And then when you look at Honorable Kweneje Japan, he's also started earlier. So these are 3 people that my bullet checks of role, delivery, and consistency would qualify all of them. When it comes to funding, that is where our interest as civil society and media, we have been following to ensure that, look, you sift out the issues of corruption. But let me tell you what, vote buying and any form of assistance that is given to delegates have been crossed, in the sense that I can get biblical with you, that even Jesus Christ, after working with the disciples, found the time to sit with them and give them bread and wine.
Yes.
You then need to break bread. I mean, when you want people to follow you, look, I say Jesus Christ was a politician. He came here to garner support for God. That's how religion has been.
Yeah.
Our religious leaders get the support for their Almighty. So at the end of the day, that's how clean it should be. The clarity around that political space and the participation should be clear. You have people you want to win on board. As we are going, there will be delegates to vote. There are issues of vote buying that always comes up. And there is an issue that you should be transparent on what you are giving them. Oh, I am giving, there are 30 delegates. I want to give them, for example, like former President Mahama came out publicly to give 40 cities, I think, to delegates. Let us clearly see what you are giving. The clarity around it and the transparency, possibly tell us where you got that money from. That is also very important, political accountability. And that's that corner that I look at. That transparency is also another factor. When they are going to the elections, you know the delegates are one part of it, the Electoral Commission and the party executives on one block, the contestants and their reps on one block. While the voting is going on, it is important to ensure openness and acceptance right from the start. You heard some complaints about some of the delegates, some of the contestants about how transparent the process should be. And it's important because at the end of the day, it is this transparency that would ensure acceptance of defeat, you know, and then the unity that comes thereafter. But whilst in the campaign move, you should know that your campaign should be consistent. This is my last point. I mean, you should be consistently campaigning. Let me tell you what the case that I know. I know the case of the Bedema that my father told me about how he had the crowds in Tema. And the women who put their clothes on the ground. Look, at the end of the day, that same place, he had less than 3 votes.
Well, but Sir John told us, God bless his soul, that
fear delegates. Yes. You remember, I remember General Eskin. General Eskin voted at a place, he got 0. Then he said, look, he accepts that maybe his wife and his children do not maybe like him. So he hates himself to not to vote for himself. These are some of the things.
Exactly.
So the transparency, we ensure clarity and ensure safety of the ballots.
But
finally, I would like to say this, that look, even in Nooks, when I was the National Nooks executive, the people who give you the biggest fund, when I'm going to come, they say, oh, Charlie, don't come there. You win for here already. When they count the votes, you realize that even that place is where you lose the biggest. So at the end of the day, ensure that I'll advise all the delegates and I'll advise the contestants that, look, while they go on, they should ensure that, look, they have done their homework well.
Just a few seconds, because I want us to look at the health workers
Geoffrey,
issue.
you mentioned that whether we like it or yes, there are only 2 political parties, which I
didn't say
that. He not really saying that. I mean, in the lead.
I said
whether we like it or yes.
Whether you like it or yes.
No, we don't.
See, I'm not saying.
He did not. Don't take him out of context.
I'm saying, whether we like it or yes, there are 2 political parties in this country that always emerge winners.
Okay.
And look, in statistics, there's something we call magic logic.
I agree with that.
Right.
Now, my point is that we as civil society organizations should rather be pushing
for a third force.
Not even for a third force. I mean, every political party that avails itself, to be elected should be supported. And so if we are looking at a situation where, quote and unquote, we seem to be giving room to just 2 political parties.
Is it not also,
then the other parties,
Is it not also important, for you as a political party to also organize yourself properly so that we can also support and push? So if you're not doing so much, if you are not giving us grounds to support you, should we be blamed for that? Let him answer. He's answering.
Where Geoffrey took us from was where I wanted us to correct that.
So we'll support them. I mean, you know that we give backing and support
let's support every other
political party. Absolutely.
That is duly registered.
Of course.
That has the backing of the EC. So if you are duly registered, you have gone through all the processes and you have all your documents to show forth, the nation has to support you in that regard. Now, On the issue of incumbency,
Yeah.
I really wanted to say something.
Sure.
You see, some of these delegates responded positively to the 72, if you like it or
Yeah.
yes, because some of them are still in positions of government. Some of them are appointees of the government. We shouldn't take that point
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
So chances are that because of the fear of
victimization.
you know, exactly, and losing your appointment, you are likely to tilt towards, you know, the vice president by voting or supporting his cause. And I don't think that it should be the case. It should be a situation where it is free, it is fair. If yes, I recall the president coming out to say that he does not support one single,
yeah.
you know, candidate,
Candidate.
but he is open to all. By the end of the day, he'll vote, and he does not even need to come out publicly to express it. I mean, everybody knows it's an open secret.
That's
So-
what? That's
Afrima,
what?
Please hold
No,
on.
no, no, no. I mean,
I
you just
mean-
can't say something and
I mean, it's
open secret that.
you have your vice president who is, you know, campaigning vigorously to be elected as the flag bearer.
Yeah.
I mean,
So it's automatic that the president will.
it's possible. I mean,
It is possible,
it's
and it is
quite clear.
equally possible that he will go with any
It's
other
quite
person
clear
too.
that
Yeah.
the Greek minister has been campaigning that the president is his friend, and here we are also somebody, you know, being your vice. So who do you vote for?
Saturday he will decide.
Exactly. So I'm just appealing
Yeah.
that the delegates will consider the option of choosing somebody they feel is right for the
Yeah.
party, and not just based on victimization or the issue of monetization, just to you know, vote for.
I'm sure now
someone.
we are just counting the days. Saturday is not too far away,
Well,
and so
well,
on
well.
Saturday at the end of it all, we would know who the
Right.
top 5